All right. All right. To continue from where we left off, we were in Photoshop and we created this bump map texture by using different elements to it. First, in order to plug this thing back into Maya inside the coin 3D object, what we need to do is we need to save the file out. So I'll go to File, Save As, and I'll just keep it as Photoshop and coin UV snapshot, and I'll give it a number of 001 because I have a feeling I might need to tweak this bump map texture in order to make the bumps show much better in Maya. So I'll just click Save here, click OK, and let's go into Maya. And inside Maya, we are back here. This is our UV editor. I can close that for now. Click F, press F, and that frames everything in view. Now, first things first is it needs a shader. So I'm going to very quickly right click and assign a new material to this coin. Again, if you do not have Arnold shader, that's fine. You can always use Maya's many existing shaders like Lambert or Phong. I'm just gonna stick to Arnold's shader, which is the AI standard, and Arnold is our renderer of choice for this subject. As you can see, I need to kind of go right to the end here because I have lots of history, because I've been modeling this thing a lot and there's lots of history here. So perhaps what I can do is I can, while the object is selected, go to Edit. I'm gonna go Delete by Type and choose History, and that will delete all of my history here, and there's not many stuff here. If I go back inside the attribute editor, I'll see what I have is just these 3 tabs and the AI standard material that I applied earlier. Let's just give it a name and rename it coin material. Alright, so for one I want it to be a gold coin. So let's just very quickly find our Arnold library, and let's go inside here. And this is our Arnold material library. I need to look it up because I don't remember what the settings were. So if you're like me, you can just go inside the Arnold material library and try to replicate this gold material again. So I know for a fact diffuse is 0804. Okay, let's just copy this tab, man, so that we don't lose it. So for diffuse, the color should be not HSV. I want it RGB021, and I'll put it as 0.8, and this should be 0.3, and should be 0. Cool, and we got that nice gold thing happening. Weight is 06 and 04 for roughness. Let's just change it accordingly. What else? It needs some specular. Keep it at 10806. So specular, and let's keep it at 08 and 06 ish. 0. So it's a similar color but a bit brighter. Oh, it's 10806. Let's just change that. 10806. Yeah, so that's it. It's somewhat of a pinkish color, lighter color than that. And the weight is 04 for weight and roughness, so I'll just change it to 04, and yeah, it's about right. 439, whatever. Right, and Fresnel is on, reflectance at normal is 1. So I'll check Fresnel, make sure reflectance at normal is 1, and this is pretty much okay. All the other settings should be kept as default. So let's just close that. And if you want, before we plug the bump map, what we can do is we can have a look at how our shader is performing inside Arnold Render View. So I'm just gonna give it a plane. So I'll go to create polygon primitives, plane, and let's just enlarge that. Our scale manipulator, make it really big. Cool. Press 5 again, and let's just check off grid. And I'll tell you what, I need 2 panels. So right now we are in our perspective viewport. I'll go to panels perspective. I'll specify a new camera. So this is my new camera, perspective 1, and I'll go to my channel box and I'll just name it render cam, and this is what will be rendered out. Let's just get a panel layouts 2 pins side by side. That's my render cam, and I'll change this panel to perspective. Cool. So I can move things here. I also need to check my resolution gate, so I see how much stuff I'm rendering. Press F there. So this is what I'm going to render out. Okay, so what next? What we need next is we need lights. So I'm gonna use the Arnold lights. The sky dome light is good for our purpose, but I think I can do further and probably plug a HDRI map. And you can find HDRI maps here inside our project section in Moodle. So I'm gonna open this link, and that's it. Let's just let it load, and that will be plugged inside here. While this is loading, perhaps I could also create an area light, and this will give us our shadows. So I create an area light there. Let's just move it. My camera is pointing that way, so I need my area light to kind of point this side. Let's just move it here a bit and point it down like so. And as it is now, if you were to render things out, you get something already. So let's see what happens if I go to Arnold Render View, and I don't want perspective shape as my camera. I want render cam shape, which is this camera here. And let's have a look. Yep, I think it is performing a bit like gold. Perhaps it's a matter of changing the intensity of the light, or maybe plugging in a HDRI map so that we get all the reflections in. But let's not bother about that for now. We can tweak things certainly for sure later on once we get this map happening. Yeah, so I'll just bother with this. Let's just minimize that for now because that's looking pretty okay. Now what we need to do is, with this coin selected, and let's go to the coin material tab, we need to plug a bump map, and we need to scroll down and find our bump map settings, which is located here. Click that checker box, click file, and it'll open up our bump 2D. Alright, and let's just click this arrow here, which will kind of open up our file tab, and click that folder, which will open this up. Let's just go and find our coin UV. Let me just recall where I saved this. It is here, so I'll copy that and go back inside Maya, and here it is. So open that up and you'll see that it's loaded in. Of course you need to press 6 in order for it to show up in the viewport here. As you can see that it is a bit harsh what we have here. So what we can do is perhaps we can go back to our bump map settings. So I'll select the coin material, go here, or maybe we need hypershade. So let's just bring out our hypershade, Windows rendering editors, hypershade. Right, let it load. So let's select our coin material, which is this one, and show all the inputs and outputs. This is what we're trying to select, bump 2D1, and here we have our let me just minimize this a bit. Right, so I'm gonna select my bump 2D and go to the attribute editor. Right, so inside my attribute editor, I kind of gave a value of 0.05 for the bump depth, and if I open up my Arnold render view, this is what I got. It's not too bad, but from here on, what I'll do is I'm going to kind of tweak a lot of settings, perhaps the bump map, and probably I will also kind of look at the color balance and kind of tweak things to give a much nicer bump map happening, so I can play around with values like the color gain. Right, so certainly after I play around with the values of the bump there, I'm getting a much more nicer bump map. If you look at this snapshot here, if you compare with the one that came before, this is a much nicer bump happening. I'm gonna see what else I can do, and that involves a lot of going back into Photoshop and kind of messing around with what we see here in terms of the blurriness, because if you can see here, my textures are not really, it's kind of pixelated, and that's why we're getting that kind of jagged stuff in there. So let's see what I can do here in Photoshop. Tell you what, maybe I'll just select these parts here and kind of rasterize them. Let's go to layer, rasterize type, so that's rasterize, and let's just give it a bit of blurriness and see what happens if I do that. Let's just merge them down, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and let's have a look at it. Now that certainly will eliminate things, but I don't want it to be too much, so let me just play around with this number here, and tell you what, I want to duplicate this first. I'll just press Ctrl J and probably apply a Gaussian blur. See what we get. Nope. Okay, see if I arrange this. It's a bit subtle, yeah, for sure. Not too bad. Might work. Let's just merge this down. I'm gonna change this part and probably say apply another blur, Gaussian blur, and we don't want it to be too much, so let me just bring it down just a bit. That's a good effect, I assume. See what else we can do. Let's think. Okay, that's good. Right, it's good. Maybe this will give better a better effect. I don't know, maybe. Yep. Right, so I'm gonna save this out. Ctrl Shift S, and I'll name it as Coin UV Snapshot 2. Cool. Go back inside Maya, and with that mesh selected, I'm going to point back to a different file for the bump texture, and this is it. UV2, because we have a new texture. Let's just close that and open Arnold render view again. It's going to read the new texture. Let's just uncheck that, and perhaps I need to pause this and let it render out. Right, so now it's finished rendering. I'm going to take a snapshot of what we see here. Let's compare between the one we have with the new Gaussian blur bump map texture and with the one we had earlier. It does seem that, you know, this is a much subtle effect with the new one with all that Gaussian blur applied. So I'm liking the new one much better, and yeah, exactly. And from here, probably, you know, remember I said that you can also plug in a HDRI map for the skylight here, and that will give us more reflections to work with when it comes to looking at the Arnold render view. So I think I'll do that very quickly, and let's just get a good one. Well, the Grand Canyon seems like a good one, so let me just download that, and let's just pause this for a while. Right, so I have my Grand Canyon HDRI here. Let's just cut that and put it inside our texturing lesson source images, and I'll probably create a folder here and call it HDRI. Let's just go inside and place my Grand Canyon zip file. I'm going to extract everything in here. Let's see what we have. Let's just delete that one as well, and let's open this up, and we have several of these HDRI images that which will kind of give us a rich look for our render. So I'm gonna use any one of these. Let's go inside Maya, and I'm gonna minimize that for a while, and let's just minimize that one too. Choose a sky dome light. I'm gonna plug that HDRI map in here and point back to where we were. Source images, HDRI here, and let's choose probably the 3K file, perhaps 8K. Let's see what happens with the 3K file first. Open. Alright, and there we have the HDRI map to the sky dome. Tell you what, let's just do more than one coin and see what happens if I were to duplicate this guy. So Control D, let's just move it in place, and I want to kind of rotate it a bit. Let's just move it a bit here. Oopsie. No. Okay, it's not doing what I want. Probably because of the heavy HDRI map. God knows. Right, sweet. Just angle it just a bit, bring it down. Not too bad. Just a bit more. And let's just spin it around a bit so we get different parts of the. Well, I can always press 6 to see what I'm rotating. Yep. See, okay, maybe I want that much. Yep, that is a good framing for my coin. And let's just open up on a render view and see what we're getting. Of course, I would perhaps need to kind of tweak the HDRI map as well. And here it is rendered. Let's just view it in real size. Shortcut is O. Cool. And now it's rendering out, and as you can see, we're getting much better look because we have all the reflections from the HDRI map. So you can use this technique if you want, and that will totally contribute to your renders. So please give it a try. Of course, you know, there are some other things that I can tweak to kind of eliminate things like the noise and have more samples for the shadows, but I'll just stop here and kind of demo that in the lab later on when we see each other, and hope you can give this out a try. So basically that's it for bump maps. Good luck. Thanks for watching.